How y'all doing? I just wanted to make a quick video in response to a video that I seen by Larry Elder, and the title of that video is "Are Black Men Really Hunted?" And for those of you who are not in the loop on Larry Elder, he's an African-American man. He's done a lot of things in his life, which I definitely respect him for doing that. But he takes a stance essentially against the black community and against liberals. But it seems like most of the venom comes out when it's talking about the black community. This particular video is geared towards the myth of black men being hunted. And he starts off with a tweet by LeBron James, who sent this tweet out in response to the brutal murder of Ahmaud Arbery. And in that tweet, he says, every time we step out of the house, we're literally hunted. Can't go for a jog. Man, are you effing kidding me? For real, are you effing kidding me? So I'm from the south side of Chicago, and I've been here pretty much my entire life. And for those of you who are not aware, Chicago is considered essentially ground zero for black on black murder. So I'm in it. I'm in the middle of it. I understand it. I see the police reports. I get frustrated with it. As a family man, I worry about everything. I worry about these young men and women who are losing their lives in our community. I worry about just the values of the community, which leads to more problems. But nonetheless, I feel hunted when I go out every single day. So with LeBron James saying feeling hunted, I'm sure it was probably in response to the Ahmaud Arbery case, but that doesn't mean he's saying just in white neighborhoods. I feel hunted in my neighborhood. I feel hunted when I go to a predominantly white neighborhood. I feel hunted when I go to an Asian neighborhood. Here's the bottom line. As a black man, you never feel safe no matter where you go. So I just took it as, yeah, you're right, LeBron. We are hunted no matter where we go. So Larry goes on to list a long list of facts to prove that black men are more of a danger to themselves, and he puts some stats in where they're more of a danger to white people as well. So before I get into my response to those stats, I just want to take the time to say a couple things. For one, if you are a white person and you find yourself defending Larry's stance or saying, I agree with Larry, but if I said it, I'm racist, well, here's a newsflash. You are racist. And you're just using Larry, who's a black guy, to pump this stuff out so you don't have to say it. You can say, he said it, I did it. Doesn't make you less of a racist. Okay, and you can hide behind, this is the truth. What does that matter to you? Because I can tell you this, you can point to black murder and you can say blacks are violent and this and that. Well, blacks know where whites live. And there's a reason why blacks have not migrated there. So you can keep on sitting in your ivory tower pointing fingers. If you're a black person and you find yourself agreeing with this nonsense, you really have to get a grip on reality. Like I said, I live in Chicago and I get frustrated with it. But at the end of the day, I understand that I am black. And I have to fight a battle of being a black man in the corporate world and being a black man in my own neighborhood. So I'm never going to submit to the majority and turn on my own people and use one-off incidents to say, well, this is why I don't like the black culture. There are things I don't like about the black culture. I love the black culture. There are things I don't like about the white culture, but there are white people who I love things about them. And we can go on and on with every other race. So for you to come on and just turn your back on a culture is very gullible. So the first stat I want to focus on with Larry, he talks about how the black Americans are, 13% of the population, but yet commit 50% of the murders. And again, I'm not here to say those facts are not true, but based on my research in 2018, the FBI website showed that African Americans were responsible for 38%, white Americans responsible for 28%, which both of them are horrible. But again, as a white person, you can point and say, oh, well, you guys are more because you're less of the population. Okay, if that makes you feel good. But here's the other thing. There's over 5,000 murders where the race is not known. And when you look at a little over 6,300 murders committed by African Americans, and then look at a little under 5,000 murders committed by white Americans, well, there's 5,000 that can swing that pendulum either way, that literally is unknown. And nobody is waging a war against the unknown murderers. The other thing about that murder rate is, we don't, the problem with the conservatives and the libertarians is you take these facts and you just, it's like that's like your spinach. These facts, that's your spinach, but you never look more than surface level. You don't, you build yourselves as free thinkers, but you are just so locked in this confirmation bias that you don't even scratch further than surface level. Why is it that 58% of white males shoot up schools and nobody talks about the white male as a terrorist? Does that affect your opportunity in corporate America? Does that affect your educational opportunities? Because right now at PWIs, whites make up the majority of the student population. So it has no effect on you economically. But black on black crime, myself or my son, we walk and we try to get opportunities in corporate America. And when you see black, you see violence, you see murder, and it takes a strong person to overcome those subconscious biases to really give a black person a chance. And what I've realized as a 42-year-old man, even when you're in those situations, you have less leeway than people who don't look like you. So again, why is it that 58% of the white men shoot up or are mass shooters, and it's always seems like on some ideology or some supremacist type stuff, but yet people like Larry would say, systemic racism is a myth. Okay, well, for whatever reason, this is on some white supremacist type stuff. And then when you turn around and you look at the black community, a lot of those murders are either gang loyalty or for financial reasons. And most of the people who are killed in these black neighborhoods are rival gangs, or it was over some type of money. It's not just random killings. I remember at my university, there's an African-American coach, and I went to a PWI, and this African-American coach, great guy, pillar of the community, outstanding Christian man. And he was gunned down by a follower of David Duke simply because he was black. This man's life was cut short simply because he was black. And that's not right. But for whatever reason, we normalize black murder. It's some type of mental illness. Do you not think these kids in these inner cities are not struggling from some type of mental illness? When I grew up, most of the kids I knew that were either murdered or murderers, they were in special ed classes, but they were never diagnosed with any type of mental illness. It was just they had learning disabilities, and they were just passed through the system. The other stat that Larry talks about is how in Chicago there's only a 25% clearance rate when it comes to murders. Well, I can say this. Again, being from the south side of Chicago, I've had my car stolen, I've had my home broken into, and each time when we called the police, they literally came at us like we were the criminals. And there was no follow-up afterwards. It's been 5 to 10 years since the incident, and we've had not one follow-up. So really, that stat, I'm surprised that it's 25%. That means 25% of the cops are getting off their asses actually trying to investigate what's going on in black communities. And my hat's off to them. But you have a lot of cops out here who are in these communities. Think about it like this. If we have a problem with blacks being murdered by cops, do you really think these cops give a damn about investigating a black murder? Think about it. Okay, so the clearance rate is not a no snitching culture. I've grown up in Chicago. That stuff is media driven. This no snitching, this and that. Look, if you can get these kids in New York or Central Park 5 to confess to crimes they did not do, or for you in Chicago, no John Burge, to waterboard people, to have them confess to crimes that they did not do, believe me, you can find out who the murderers are. These cops are in these communities and they know these people, and they're people who are willing to tell them what is going on. But here's the problem. When murderers are brought to justice in the Chicago court system, they're let off. And again, I have relatives in the Chicago Police Department who they're frustrated by it. I'll say, you know, a drug dealer will get more time than a murderer. Like I've had situations where I've heard that, you know, a guy is a known murderer, he stands trial, and the judge lets him off. That is encouraging genocide. Simple as that. And Larry also talks about how some cops, in terms of research, a researcher found that cops are more hesitant to use force on black people or whatever. Yes, those are the good cops, but you don't account for the cops who give a damn. And it may be a small amount, but it is an amount. Other thing is this, for you guys who are following him, in this video, Larry took time to promote a movie or a documentary or whatever the hell it is called Uncle Tom. And he says, oh, that's what the black community called me, Uncle Tom. Larry, I'm not here to call you an Uncle Tom. You are a black man. So that's where it stops. I don't care about your philosophies. I don't care about your stance. I think you have a lot of self-hate in you, and I think you're using these people in your audience who really wants to feel good about themselves to make money. And everybody has to make money somehow. So for you all who are kind of sopping this information up and loving Larry, believe me, you're keeping the money flowing to Larry. And guess what? It's not doing a damn thing for you financially. I can guarantee you that. So just keep it up. Keep that energy up. But until we realize that we all have problems and we all have to figure out how to solve these problems, we're just going to be like a hamster in a wheel and keep running around and around in circles. So that's all I have to say. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'll keep doing my response videos to different people out there. And as always, I'm ready to engage in any debate. And just remember, before you judge us, make sure you get to know us.